What's up guys, it's Saturday morning, the one day of the week where I don't have to shave. Anyway, so today's video is going to be just a little bit different. Instead of talking about the 370Z, we're going to talk about my other Nissan, my 2013 Nissan Xterra. So this Xterra is the S model. I could not find a Pro 4X anywhere around here when I was originally looking for one, but it turned out to be fine with the S model. Still has four-wheel drive. The only thing it doesn't have is an electronic locking diff, leather interior, or the roof lights. Since I've had the truck, I've put the front bug deflector on it. I got the vinyl for the hood from Viggs, which is held up incredibly well. I'll put the link down below for that. It's definitely worth it. Easy to put on. I didn't get a single air bubble. I also plasti dipped the wheels. I didn't expect it to last all that long, but that's over a year and a half right now on there, and it looks still pretty good. I'm not going to use Adams wheel cleaner or something like that on those because I think it'll just eat it right up. I did have the step rails off for a long time, but my wife drives this car occasionally now, so she wanted them back on. I did put a trailer hitch in the back, and what's funny is I also went through 3 different exhaust systems on this. So I wanted the exhaust to sound just a little bit better than it did from the factory, and I tried MagnaFlow, just the muffler, and I had that custom put in. And then I tried a full system from Walker, which wasn't great, obviously, but anyway, they both had tremendous amounts of drone. It was almost unbearable. So what I decided to do is just go back to stock without the resonator, and it sounds pretty good. However, since getting this, I have neglected this. So today we're going to make up for that. I'm going to do an oil change, and later on when the shade is in the front of my house, we're going to do a car wash on it. So what we have to do the oil change in the Xterra is a 10mm socket to take off the access plate for the oil filter, a 14mm socket to take off the drain plug, the oil filter wrench, and then we have a M1 110 oil filter, 5W30 Mobile 1 synthetic, some lights, and the drain pan. The cool thing is, the one thing I don't need is a jack. So this engine bay is almost embarrassing for me to show you, but I can't tell you the places we've been with this thing, and it's actually clean considering that. So let's get started. Alright, so the first step is to take off this plate right here, and behind that is the oil filter. So when you take that plate off, you have access to the filter, and it's got a little sort of a track that the oil drains down, but honestly doesn't do a great job. It kind of still goes all over the place. The other problem is, unfortunately, this opening around the access area is pretty sharp, and I always end up cutting my arm. So right here is the drain plug, pretty easy to access, and it's 14mm. So let's get that off. So since I was the one who changed the oil, since I've had this thing, this is torqued properly, so it's going to be pretty easy to get off. Alright, so while that's draining, I'm going to loosen the oil filter a little bit. So in this car, the drain plug is too far back compared to where the filter is, so I can't do it all at once. So I wait for the oil to drain out and then put the plug back in before getting the filter off. Alright, so the next step is taking off the old plug washer and putting a new one on. Okay, so the drain plug is backed in, properly torqued, and now we can take off the oil filter. So unfortunately, there's absolutely no way of doing this without making a complete mess. One of the ways to make it a little bit cleaner is to loosen the oil filter just enough so it starts dripping, and let some of the oil out that way. As you can see, it's coming down that little track there, but it's still also coming out the backside. So let's prep the new filter while the old oil is still draining. I know a lot of people are probably saying I shouldn't be using dirty oil to coat the gasket, but I've never had a problem with it. Plus my oil's not that dirty anyway. I change it every 3,000 miles. So this part's just about impossible because you gotta reach up there, pull the filter out, and fit it through this hole without spilling it all over the place. And it never happens. So I'm going to let this drain for about 10 more minutes. You can see it's coming from different places, hopefully. It's a big mess. But I'm going to go sit in front of the fan for a few minutes because I'm so damn hot. It's so hot and humid in Knoxville again. I picked the worst time of the year to start a YouTube channel. "10 minutes and the oil is still draining. It's just about to stop. But if you notice, it's coming out in a couple of different places. And that always seems to happen. So I think what I'm going to do next time is just jack the back of the car up slightly so everything kind of flows forward, or just park the car backwards in the garage and use the slope of the garage floor to accomplish that. Okay, so here's another hard part, getting this oil filter in through this hole and then turning it. And then threading it. Okay, so the gasket has just made contact. I'm not tightening it all the way yet until I clean everything up under here. Okay, so the filter is tightened. Everything's pretty much wiped down. I'm just going to wipe off the residual with some brake parts cleaner. Okay, so everything's cleaned off. The filter's tightened, and now we can put the access plate back on. Okay, so the access plate is back on. We are done underneath the car, and we can put the oil in now. Alright, so I just cleaned out the funnel, and now I'm going to start adding the oil. I use 5 1/4 quarts. That puts it at the perfect level. Alright, so I got the 5 quarts in. I just need to put the last 1/4 of a quart in, which is 8 ounces. I've used this quart before, so I just needed to get it to the 16-ounce level. It's right on. And the best part of every oil change, putting this cap back on. Alright, now let's start it up and let it run for a few minutes and look for leaks. Okay, so the oil change is done on the Xterra. There's no leaks. I checked the level, everything's fine. I put all the old oil in the container, so it's ready for recycling now. So some people watching this are probably saying, why do all this yourself? Why not just go to a dealer or a Jiffy Lube kind of place or something like that? Well, from personal experience, I can tell you 2 reasons why. One, a long time ago, somebody changed the oil for me and they cross-threaded the drain plug. That was nice. It leaked and it was almost impossible to get out. So my second experience happened just recently. My wife's car was under warranty. She had the oil change at the dealer, and the technician overfilled it by about 1.5 quarts. There was so much oil in there that the rear main seal blew, and fortunately it was fixed and under warranty, but it's just ridiculous things like that. So for as long as I'm physically capable, nobody's changing the oil in any of my cars but me. Another reason is I just enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I like taking care of my cars and making sure they're mechanically all good. So this Xterra is, honestly, it's one of my favorite cars I've ever owned. It does anything we need it to do, and we've had some really great experiences with it. Also, earlier in the video I mentioned some of the things I had done to it since I owned it. I forgot to mention that I also put the Pro 4X skid plates underneath. Not that they do a lot, but they're there for a little bit of protection. And I don't have the gas tank one though. I'm still looking for that one. But I also put the BF Goodrich all-terrain 2s, one size up from the factory size. So they're the size that actually comes on the Pro 4X. And I can't say anything but great things about those tires. The only thing I will say is they're really super heavy, and it killed my gas mileage, probably almost 3 miles to the gallon. But they're very quiet. You can cruise the 80 on the interstate with no problem at all. So great tires. I highly recommend those. All right, so now I'm going to wait till a little later this afternoon when there's some shade on my driveway and give the Xterra a good washing. Oh yeah, so one more thing. You know, normally when I'm doing these things, I have a whole bunch of fans running. I can't do that when you're making a YouTube video because that's all you would hear. So that's why I'm always sweating in every one of these things. All right, so it's later in the day, and it's time to wash the Xterra. But what you guys don't know is in between the oil change I did this morning and now, I did the video yesterday that you saw about the hub-centric rings for the 370. So I'm kind of worn out. But anyway, I'm going to go wash it real quick, and in the meantime, here's a montage of all the cool times we've had with that thing. Alright, so here is the dirty version. Wait, that didn't come out right. Here's the truck while it's still dirty. Alright, so it's about an hour later and it's washed. It looks 10 times better, but it desperately needs wax. So that's for another day. I'm not doing that tonight. Alright, so I'm done for the day. I have 2 clean cars, but I am completely gross. So I'm just going to wrap this video up. If this is the first time you're watching this channel, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And thanks for watching, guys.